Good evening, class. My name is Michael Davis, and this is my persuasive speech on Ford Mustang versus the Chevy Camaro, which is the better vehicle. Well, first and foremost, being a Ford Mustang enthusiast, the Mustang to me has held near and dear a special place in my heart. Introduced in 1964 at the New York World's Fair, it became the symbol of the changing of the guard, with the baby boomers wanting vehicles that were so totally different from what their parents were driving at that time. The Mustang is a pillar of American automotive lore. It is a car that has brought sporting dash and styling at a price that almost anyone could afford. The Mustang has been around, like I said, from 1964. The first model introduced in 1964 and a half was the beginning of the first model year, first generation, going through 1966. And to this current day, we're approaching the 50th anniversary of the Mustang with no end in sight. The Chevy Camaro was hardly an original notion. It was a blatant GM ripoff of the Ford Mustang. And this is according to Edmunds.com. But they always said because it was a stolen idea doesn't mean it was a bad idea. The first generation of the Camaro rolled off the lines in 1967, 3 whole years after the Mustang had already been established. Just as in the first Mustang was based on Ford's compact Falcon, it was also, the Chevy Camaro was also based on Chevy's compact Nova. However, it was based on the upcoming 1968 Nova, and it was more robust than comparable to the 1967 base one. The base coupe of the Chevy Camaro first rolled off the line at $2,466. The first Mustang rolled off at $2,200. So therefore, both of the pony cars were very affordable at that time, but the Mustang had taken the pony car originals to a whole new height. The Mustang enthusiasts throughout the world, there are several Mustang clubs and different outlets that they all gather yearly to show off the Mustangs that they have redone, reconstructed, preserved over the years. And the Chevy Camaro has its following as well. But in my opinion, the Mustang has always been the icon. It has survived 9 generations of styling through the Ford Motor Company system, and it is never once having to take a hiatus. The closest it ever came to taking a hiatus was in the early 70s when Mustang was downsized to the Mustang 2, which was the model year that everyone hated, because it was based on the Pinto wheelbase. But it made its rebound in the early 80s, in the late 90s, coming up on its 40th anniversary, where the enthusiasts were more impressed with what Ford had done and was happy once again with their Mustang. The 5th generation of the Camaro is restarting what Chevy had ended in 2002. Chevy managed to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Camaro, but it wasn't exactly what they thought it would be. So it took a brief hiatus from 2002 to 2010 when it was reintroduced, and the retro styling that once again Chevy had followed from the Ford Motor Company with the Mustang had been based on the 1969 Camaro, right down to the Carolyn Junction style hood, the Coke bottle design, and the crosshatch grille and the rear quarter gills. This made it look very much like the 69, but it had its own flair. Chevy had decided that since the Mustang was so successful with its regeneration, by going back to its retro styles from the early 60s, that they figured the same thing would help with them. But To this day, I still believe that the Ford Mustang is the better vehicle as far as performance that you can get for the price range that you can get it in. The Mustang today is between $22,000 and $54,000 if you go for the Shelby. And the Camaro is still priced a little bit higher. They start at 24,000 and they range as high as 45. So it's still playing catch up after all these years, but Mustang still leads the pack, and there's no end in sight for it. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this.